Hi folks, welcome to Your World with Prakash Kapila. So in this episode also, we will have a very good introduction to how PV Narasimha Rao has dealt with a very critical subject of Punjab terrorism and how he with everybody else was able to bring Punjab from the brink of disaster. So to give you a brief to all those people who are not having any uh, knowledge about the Punjab situation around 80s and 70s and 80s, 90s. India would not have been like very prosperous if Punjab was not brought back into the mainstream. Punjab is a very important state for India. It is most of the Sikhs are very hardworking, entrepreneurial, and they are forming a lot of. Uh, we have even a Sikh regiment in our army, so that is a mark, a benchmark. They are all benchmark in wherever industries they go, transport, army, police. I mean, in every they are there in every place of India, and as well as in the world. Canada is having a lot of Sikhs, and United States is having a lot of Sikhs. So all in all, they're very entrepreneurial and they're very hardworking and very what do you call prosperous community. If we take the whole Sikh community as such, it is very embedded into the Indian history, right from Guru Nanak to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. And also Ranjit Singh, as you might know, was the one of the stalwarts of the Sikh kings. So over a period of time, what happened is during Indira Gandhi's period, there was a person by name Longowal, and then the whole thing started when Indira Gandhi wanted to create a separate party that is not that can go against these Akalis and other political parties. She created this person called Longowal, and that person started uh, doing the he started creating politics, and he politicized the situation so much that he created a concept called Khalistan. So having said that, we have with us Navdeep, who has been in the midst of the whole thing, and he can give you more brief about how the situation was, how it went from normal to bad and others. Navdeep, please take over.
Hello, everyone. I will give you a little bit of information and the history of a little bit before PV Narasimha Rao of how this whole problem in Punjab started. Uh, right after 1980s, somewhere around 1982 was the one when there was a head of the Damdami Taksal, which is a religious body in Punjab, and his name was Sant Jarnail Singh Pindrawale. He was the one who was kind of more involved, where he started and launched the Dharam Yudh Morcha back in 1982, along with by joining the Akali Dal, where they were asking for a separate autonomous state of Punjab. At that point, they were not asking for Khalistan. They were just asking for a separate autonomous status for Punjab. During those period between 1982 to 1984, those 2 years of period, a lot of things happened in Punjab where separatist movements started in that era of those 2 years, where a lot of people started backing him, and he had a lot of following in Punjab, which resulted in him going to the point where they started asking for a separate state for Punjab and a separate country, and they put that name as Khalistan. That was the period where there were a lot of different people, few of Hindus were killed in Punjab, few from the Sikh side were killed in Punjab who were opposing him. And once that whole thing got up to the flashpoint where in June, between June 1st and June 8th of 1984, where Indira Gandhi ordered that all these terrorists, that's what they were called at that time, that they should be flushed out of the Golden Temple, and she ordered the whole Indian army to go ahead and flush them out of the Golden Temple. They took around 7-8 days. They were able to take a lot of all these terrorists out of the Golden Temple. One of the big things that not many people know is that there was an Indian military general whose name was Subheg Singh. Subheg Singh was actually same guy who was responsible for creation of, he was a big help in the responsible of creation of Bangladesh, because he was the one who gave all the guerrilla training to all the Mukti Bahini during the Bangladesh war. And what happened was that in 1977, when Jayaprakash Narayan became popular, and Indira Gandhi called the Indian army to arrest him. So he was handpicked as the guy to go and arrest him, and he refused to do it. So Indira Gandhi became very cross with him, and eventually he was actually fired from the Indian army one day before his retirement, which kind of resulted in him getting very malicious towards her, and he kind of joined Bhindranwale, and he was one of the persons who was responsible of all the fortification within the Golden Temple. And that was the reason they were able to last 7-8 days against the Indian army, because he really fortified the whole place, because he had the knowledge how to do it. And then what's happened was that in October of 1984, that's when Indira Gandhi was assassinated. And then a lot of Sikhs all over the India got killed because of that assassination, which kind of further fueled the youth of Punjab to kind of go counterattack against it. And a lot of them went and joined this Khalistan movement, which kind of resulted up to the point where for the next 10 years, you had this this movement continuously going on until P.V. Narasimha came around, and then he appointed KPS Gill in February, I believe, of 1991.
92.
Sorry, 92, yeah.
I think it was in December 1991 he has taken over a second time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
December 1991.
Yeah, December 1991. Oh yeah, that happened right after P.V. Narasimha Rao.
Yes.
And then he held up the elections in February of 1992 in Punjab, where Beant Singh came into power and the Congress came back to power in Punjab. And then between Beant Singh, P.V. Narasimha Rao and KPS Gill, they kind of orchestrated the whole movement from the police side, in which a lot of innocents were killed, a lot of terrorists were killed. And I guess that's a separate subject that we can talk sometime later. But that is the gist of what happened before 1984, then 1984, and then what happened between the next 10 years. So I will send it back to Prakash to continue this discussion.
Thank you, Navdeep. Thanks a lot. So from 82 to 92, around 10 years, Punjab was burning. Literally, I mean, the whole country was pulled into that, whirlpool, if you can say that. So what were your take, Lakshmi Prasad Garu? How did you see this political thing happening? You were one of the senior journalists at that time.
Punjab was not, Punjab movement did not start suddenly. It has been there even before the partition of India took place. But Punjabis were not concentrated in anywhere. They are spread over the entire country. because they did not have, excepting in Ludhiana, only in Ludhiana they were a strong force with about 48%. In all other places, they were only small number. Before partition, 17% of Punjabis were, in Pakistan, there was sizable Punjabi population living there. But after partition, most of them fled Pakistan and came back to India. But the Punjab movement gained prominence only with Pakistan supporting it out and out, because Pakistan could not digest the separation of Bangladesh from Pakistan, splitting of Pakistan, creation of a separate state in which Indira Gandhi played a crucial role. They could not digest that. And again, after Indira Gandhi's assassination, the country became when the central government became very weak. VP Singh was not strong. Chandrasekhar was not strong. And there was also, in Punjab itself, several times the state was under president's rule because of law and order problem, and also political problem was also there. Sometimes Akalis were leading, other times it was Congress. The Congress government also, after the formation of Punjab as a separate state, the political administration has become very weak. Till the Punjab state was formed, it was strong, because Punjab comprised of complete Haryana and parts of Himachal. After splitting the state and creation of a separate Punjab state, it created more and more problems. There was a trouble with regard to Chandigarh being made a joint capital of both Haryana and Punjab. And some parts of this area have been merged with Himachal Pradesh. And there was also industrial problem. This water problem was also there. When one of the states were, 3 states were divided into separate states, there were more and more law and order problems to place, more and more political problems also arisen. Indira Gandhi was strong enough. She tried to handle it well. I have not blamed her. And it was a very critical decision or very tough decision for her to engage the army to flush out militants from Punjab. From Punjab and also from the temples.
It's Golden Temple, yeah.
She did it with good intention. Actually, she used a Punjabi himself to lead the problem. A senior Punjabi officer was asked to do it. And they also give an option to the people who they did not want to participate in the movement, in that elimination. They were allowed to quit the place also. In the Operation Blue Star, Operation Blue Star, the force was given an option. Who are people not willing to join that, they can leave the ranks, leave the force at that time. And everybody participated, but unfortunately, there was more use of force from both the sides. If the force, and it is very difficult to blame the police, it is very difficult to blame the religious sentiments also. And it has, Blue Star operation has created more problems than doing any greater justice. And the way in which so many people have been massacred, Punjabis, that was atrocious. And that led to the weakness of the administration in dealing with Punjab problem for the next this one. Rajiv Gandhi was inexperienced and he could not handle it properly. I'm sorry to say that. People, not Rajiv Gandhi, Rajiv, then the 2 successive chief ministers, 3 CMs, 3 prime ministers, sorry, they were not strong enough to deal with the situation. And that is the reason more and more problems have arisen. J.F. Rebbara was good in dealing with this as a DGP. He did very well, but he had the problem because he was a local man. He could not communicate with the local people.
Yeah, R.F. Rabiara was the commissioner of Mumbai.
But he was a good man.
Yeah.
And he did not know Punjab at all. Punjabi, he could not speak Punjab or understand. He did not have the local knowledge of the area. And It was only after he took over, things changed in a very, very big way. But I would not say that nothing has been done in between too. After Indira Gandhi's assassination also, certain good things were also done. I mean, Gill was a major force. When after Gill was taken on as a DGP, first he was inducted into police. I mean, he was involved in Punjab as a second in command for Rebero. He was a great asset. Rebero himself acknowledged that he's the best operational man. He was feared by militants. He was feared, respected, and adored by the police people. One major problem which Punjab had was the local police, they did not actually participate in any of the activities of the government. They were more confined to their barracks. They were more confined to their police stations, and they were not registering any cases, anything they were not doing. It was motivation of Gill that brought about huge change.
Okay, sir. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I can. Yeah, I mean, after he also speaks, I will.
Yeah. So, Ravindra, from your experience, you were also a student during those days. What were your take on the Punjab terrorism? How did you interacted with a lot of North Indians in your college, and lot of Sikhs you interacted
Yeah, in my thank you, Prakash. Sorry for joining from car. Next time I will do it from home actually, because I'm on the PST side here. So for me, being a South Indian, I have hardly interacted with North till I joined my NIT Warangal. But however, we have hardly, I think the Sikhs are like 4-5 as a whole students, that too in the year 1993, right? But the main thing where I actually started interacting is after coming to US. So we in the PFL organization, we did one Dandi march. So at the time we walked from San Diego to San Francisco for about 251 miles, saying that what Gandhi did the same thing, right? So in the correct. So done by Jawahar Kambambati and also Sri Hari Atluri, Subhash, Srikant Kocharlakota. All these are like nice people, and all are South Indians only. But yeah, coming to here, the culmination is at the Gandhi statue in San Francisco. So there actually I was waiting there. By then I see a lot of Sikhs who are against Gandhi. Okay. Then I went and I spoke to one of the Sikh guy, saying that I observed you during August 15th, you do protest, and here you do protest. What exactly happened, right? Then he looked at me and he said, did your mom got raped? Did your sister got raped? And he asked 2-3 questions which totally blinded me. Okay. I could not take it back. Then I took his number because he lives nearby where I live. Then I met him 2-3 times and I understood their side of the story. At that time only I went into all details about Punjab, the Khalistani movement, everything. Okay. As long as if you are not the person who is suffering, who suffered in this whole thing, right? You don't feel for it actually. Okay. So there are genuine grievances from the Sikhs side. You have to first understand that. Okay. Yeah. First one is Punjab is actually, even now if you look at it, right, almost Pakistan has got 56% of people who speak Punjabi there. Okay, even though all are Muslims, and they are actually into the armies for centuries, and when India was united, and also even in Pakistan right now, they are like, as soon as in 1947 means just the end of Second World War, right? So majority of the military, everything is part of the Punjabi regiment only. Okay, that is one. And second thing is once the Muslims wanted their separate homeland, then the Sikhs and the Hindus, they were actually fought together against the Muslims during the partition times, and there are certain promises are being done for the Punjabis, which everything end of the day we did not fulfill anything. Okay, and then that one, even recognizing Punjabi as a language, right, and Hindi Punjabi fight was also there till 1971. And then Punjabis, they at least Sikhs thought that once Punjab become a smaller state, maybe they can have. I think you can correct me if I am wrong, but this is what my understanding at the time. Okay, so they split the whole state into 3 small parts. As you mentioned already, the Chandigarh as a capital would split between Haryana and Punjab. All these things, right? These are all started in 1971, 1970 onwards. All these fights.
66.
Meanwhile, Pakistan's role was because they could not, they want to take revenge on India, right? So after the partition of Pakistan, they invested heavily instead of the mistakes they have done during the Bangladesh creation. They supported it, okay, in the 1980s and all, okay. And second thing, what I observed was Sikhs are actually, because I always find him here, there are a lot of good things. As a religion, I am a very agnostic on religions, but I find Sikhism is the only religion which is very close to the human nature actually. Okay, even if you look wherever you go, they are the ones who help, and you don't find any Sikh beggar anywhere. Okay, there are a lot of good things that particular religion brought in. Okay, these are all I observed after coming to US, not when I was in India. And then this particular movement, right? Indira Gandhi, I consider Indira Gandhi bungled fantastically in underestimating the power of Brindanwale. And finally, means we only hear one side of the story, right? Once only the government is saying the story, right? And also the Sikhs suffered a lot actually from 1975 till up to 1990. And many, almost 99% of them are very innocent in the way they are. But normally we brand people, right? So at the time when Indian government versus Sikhs are going on, and we as a Indian, we always stood towards Indian side. We never understand their side of the story, right? So Sikhs were suffered a lot, and they migrated to Canada, America, UK, and all that. Then followed by what my understanding of where it was fixed. Now we are all talking about this whole thing, right? My guess is again. See, this is, I strongly support to autonomous what is that called, states giving the autonomous thing. Like in America, every state has its own
Autonomous
powers,
role.
right? Autonomous role, yeah. Because even now also central government holding states by their neck or by their head, right? That is not a good way in any democracy. Okay, so we should give the full powers to the states, then only they can do well. Main popular thing was majority of the Sikhs in Punjab, they were okay with Khalistan or without Khalistan. They are not supporting the whole movement of Khalistan. And normally the extremists, normally they hijack the whole movement everywhere, right? And the silence of the majority will cost the whole thing. So that is what happened in the Sikh side also actually. So finally, as it was running for 1 decade and all, it lost the popular support, because extremists not only killed Nirhankaris and Hindus, they also killed the Sikhs who have a different opinion on them. Okay, so that has brought down the public support from the movement. During that time, PV bought KPS Gill, and as Navdeep ji said, even KVS Gill also, there is too much blood on his hand. Even certain decisions he made during that time, they actually kill a lot of innocent Sikhs as well. But finally, that brought out the peace in the whole Punjab region, and that is what my take, Prakash.
So, if we look into the different aspects of the extremism in the world, there have been very few extremist ideas and ideologies that have been separated out, like that have been crushed and put into the mainstream. Say, for example, in South you will find Naxalism. In East you will find the Assamese, Bodo, and all those. So in such context, the idea of holding elections and the idea that people, once given their own ruling, they will be able to turn around, is what PV believed and performed. So till that time, there was no extremism that has been solved without much of bloodshed. I mean, Punjab definitely
you are
had
very
a lot
correct,
of
Prakash. Actually, I am about to say that the way India quelled all the secession movements, right, is to bring the people who have who want to all the leaders who are in that particular one, and then conducting elections, make them CM, chief ministers, and followed next 5 years they will become opposition leaders. But that is the technique they used everywhere, right? So they talk to those who does not want to be part of India. So that is called agreements and all, right? So they will say, okay, we're giving you power. Once they got power, and they are okay, right? So that is what they tried actually. Okay. Because I always look at the way Pakistan was partitioned in Bangladesh, right? Because the main reason is they were not willing to give power to what is his name, Bangladeshi leader, um,
Mufti Bahim.
Mujibur Rahman.
Mujibur
Rahman,
Rahman.
right? Yeah, even though he got the full majority, so they said we'll have 2 prime ministers, right? Even though Bangladeshi, that guy got the complete majority, they said we'll have 2. That means not willing to give them the people a mandate, right? That is costed the whole country, correct? Whereas
So,
here,
yeah.
for even if you look at the Northeast and all, majority of them, we quelled the secessionist movements because we talked to the, and means we do see their point of view. We talk to them and saying that, okay, you participate in the election, and then you only own your own state, and that is how we did it. But I think now Narendra Modi is a big fiasco right now everywhere. So I don't know where again he's taking it. But the point is, I think this whole thinking process, I think may have started in PV time, Prakash. I agree.
Yeah. So Navdeep ji, so since you were in the mix at that time, when the elections were actually declared, so what was the feeling around? Like, did it change the perception, or how did it all work out?
I mean, my point of view on that is that it's been already close to 10 years up till that point where this whole thing is happening in Punjab, and just human being nature is that everybody wants to live in peace. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. So it had gotten up to a point on 2 sides. One was that people had started getting fed up with this being that kind of environment all the time in Punjab. And the second portion was that the youth of Punjab at that time was kind of getting ruined. So it was like 2 sides of the coin. On one side, KPS Gill, knowingly or unknowingly, which I think is knowingly, is that he took and kind of wiped out a whole generation of the Punjabi youth. So along with killing the militants, he also killed a lot of other innocent people, which kind of wiped out a whole generation of the Punjabi youth. And on the same side, on the other coin, there was the other side of the population, which were fed up with killings and shootings and everything else as their everyday life. And they saw that, okay, elections will happen, the democracy will come back. Let's bring somebody into power who can get rid of this issue of the militants and somehow bring some peace back into Punjab. But again, the same kind thought of the people on that side was that they did not knew that once this whole thing happens, I think the PV Narasimha Rao did 2 things. First one, he completely gave a free hand to Bein Singh and KPS Gill to go ahead. And he says, I'm not going to make this into a political issue. I'm going to stay out of it completely. I'm going to give a free hand to both of you. Take care of this problem, solve it, and have a good ending at the end, and make sure that this doesn't raise its head again. So that was the direction that PV Narasimha Rao gave, which kind of KPS Gill took as a complete thing on his hand, that I have got a free arena now, and I'm not responsible to anybody. And then he went back, and along with killing the militants, he killed a lot of innocent people. I mean, a lot of innocent. I can't even put a number how many innocent people in this whole thing were killed during the KPS Gill's tenure of 7-8 years. So it's a double-edged sword that happened. It did solve the problem of militancy, but a lot of other human rights issues were completely overlooked by the government, by everybody in that 10-year period.
So 10 year in the sense from 92 onwards, from 92 to 2002, I mean, or 82 to 92?
No, 82 to 92, yeah.
Okay, so our KPS Gill came around 91 December, right?
91 December, and he kind of stayed there for around 6-7 years.
From okay, so till 96, 97 he was there.
96, 97.
Prakash, shall I intervene
Yeah,
here?
please.
See, Prakash, I mean, this Gill was there from 1984. He was IG rank. And then in 1988, he took over as the DGP, and he was there till 90. He was shifted in 90 to Delhi by Chandrasekhar under political maneuvering. If he would have, I mean, despite his very bad handling, I mean, I would say, he was butchering people. But if you take Operation Black Thunder, he conducted, was a magnanimous one. It was hailed by the press. It was hailed by the entire world. In 1980, the first one was J.F. Ribeiro. He conducted the first Operation Black Thunder. It was in 1966, I mean 1986. And then second time, it was done by Gill as DGP. He cut off power supply and water, and all communication channels into the temple were blocked. And that resulted in a good success, and the least force was utilized at that time.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, apart from that one mission, he actually, it was like a war of attrition. A lot of people
Yeah, I know.
got
He
killed.
was,
A lot
see,
of
one thing I knew,
policemen got killed also.
a lot of innocents were also killed. See, I knew Gill, I mean, because he was my relative's batchmate. And two officers from Andhra are his batchmates. Rodam Prabhakar Rao, who retired as DG in Hyderabad, in Andhra Pradesh, and DVL and Ramakrishna Rao, who was ITBP Director General, who retired as ITBP Director General. They are good friends and relatives to me. They were explaining how Gill was doing there. Gill, one thing, see, if he had no weaknesses, his two weaknesses ruined him. One. Two, he was aggressive, too aggressive. But the whole credit for restoring normalcy of the state has to be given to PV and to SB Chavan. SB Chavan as Home Minister, he played a significant, but I mean, his role was not much noticed, but he played a very crucial role. P.V. Narasimha Rao and SB Chavan were closely known to each other right from their college days.
All right.
Because Chavan studied in Hyderabad.
Okay.
The
So,
same college in which.
I want to say one thing. We will, the recording will be over, but we have to re-log in again. Okay.
Okay.
I'll
Shall we
end
wait?
this and then we'll re-log in again.
Oh, we have to re-log in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's less than a minute. So let's
Oh.
re-log in again. Okay.
Okay.